Welcome learners. This unit is about the Shompenes of Great Nicobar. After going through the unit, you should be able to have a general understanding of the Shompenes of Great Nicobar and knowledge about their life and culture in terms of food habits and social, political and economic organizations.
In this video, we shall discuss about Shompenes of Great Nicobar life and culture in terms of food habits and social, political and economic organizations, eating and drinking habits.
The Shompenes are totally unaware of agriculture and mostly depend on forest products, fishes from sea, a bit of horticulture and rare pigs for their livelihood. The favorite food of Shompenes is the fruit of screw pines and honey from wild bees, fishes and game's meat. The Shompene chew palm leaves abundantly found in the Nicobar forests. They also chew betel nut. However, nowadays they also chew tobacco introduced by outside laborers engaged by the Border Roads Organization. It is believed that they do not drink alcohol.
Living conditions and situations.
The Shompenes build their huts on the raised platforms. The hut is of the lean-to type and meant for individual families. They do not have community residential hut like Onge and Jarawa tribes, but they sometimes build such huts for dance in commemoration of their ancestors. Men wear only loincloth and women the skans to cover their private parts. Both men and women are topless. The clothes of Shompenes are traditionally made out of the bark.
Social organization.
What Radcliffe Brown found about the social organization of the Andaman tribes more than 60 years ago seems to be still valid for today. The social organization of the Shompene is based on tradition, kinship and locality. The members of a band are related to one another through blood or marriage. There are no classes among the Shompene who are divided into small groups of men, women and children. The family is the most important social unit in Shompene society. The major economic, social and reproductive activities are centered on the family, usually composed of husband, wife and unmarried children. The moment a son is married, he makes his own hut in the same village and lives with his wife. When a Shompene marries more than one woman, both the wives and their children share the same hut and hearth.
A Shompene family is controlled by the head of the family.
The eldest male member of the family becomes the head. All the activities carried out by the wife and unmarried children are under the direct control of this head. The wife and children follow the instructions and guidance of the head of the family. All members of the family are responsible for maintaining good relations and discipline within the band. Women are not supposed to move freely outside the settlement without the permission of the head of the family or headman of the band. The husband-wife relationship among the Shompene is very informal. They eat together from the same leaf plate and sit together or near each other even in the presence of other elderly persons of the community or outsiders. The phenomenon of leadership among the Shompene is well established. Under the traditional authority of village head, the village life is managed smoothly and villagers feel a certain sense of security. Disputes and dissensions are settled by themselves. The Shompenes are divided into a number of small bands, including men, women and children. Usually, the elder man of the band becomes the head of the particular band. These band members split and make further smaller bands from time to time for further purposes vis-a-vis meeting requirement of food, requirements after marriage and for defense purposes.
It is true that the head of a band is selected on the basis of his honesty, faith, intelligence, capacity of social control and knowledge of the area.
Well said. It is observed that generally the headmen of the local bands construct their huts in such a way that it works as the main entrance of the location. Usually they keep dogs in their huts as caretaker. The reason for constructing huts in such a position is in fact to avoid the entry of outsiders. As soon as any outsider comes, the dog starts barking and the headman gets the idea that someone is coming. He immediately informs the other members that someone is coming. By getting the hints from the headman, all people, including men, women, and children, moved away silently inside the forest to avoid the outsider. The headman guides other band members in day-to-day work, example hunting, fishing, and food gathering. Then, headman never allows the band members to contact or meet outsiders as well as Shompens of other bands. During monsoon, the Shompen bands of the village change their location and build their huts on the slopes of the mountain.
Tribes and subtribes.
The Shompens consist of two subdivisions, the hostile Shompens and the Mawa Shompens. The majority of the Shompens belong to the first category. The hostile Shompens live in the regions through which the rivers Alexandra and Galatia flow and the interior of the Great Nicobar Island in the east coast. The Mawa Shompens dwell at a place very near the coast. People of these two subsections have contrasting nature. The hostile Shompens, as the name suggests, are very aggressive in nature, while the Mawa Shompens are quite bashful. However, the Mawa Shompens have a great deal of interaction with the hostile Shompens. There have been instances in the past in which the hostile Shompens have declared wars with the Mawa Shompens. However, such wars are now a story of the past. There are two groups distinct with the geographical distribution. The West Coast Shompen call themselves Kalai, whereas the East Coast Shompen call themselves Kayat. One Shompen band calls people of the other Shompen band Buavia. In other words, the inland tribe is split into two main divisions. The larger inhabits the interior proper and is still hostile. The members of the other division who form small settlements near the coast villages are known as Mawas Shompen and are on intimate terms with the Nicobaris.
We will talk about the rites and rituals.
Rites and rituals are important aspects of tribal life since their life is related to the nature and the spirits.
Birth rituals.
The period of menstruation and childbirth are considered as unclean among the Shompen. A separate hut is constructed for the delivery of the child. When labor pain starts, the women is shifted to this hut. During delivery, only the old women of the locality are allowed to attend and stay inside the hut. After delivery, the mother remains confined to this hut for about a month. Except for the mother and the elderly woman attending her, nobody is allowed to touch the newborn baby on the first day. On the second day, the child is given a cold water bath in an indigenous vessel. The food for the new mother is served in this hut. An elderly lady looks after the child and the new mother. During this period, the new mother puts on a bark cloth. The bark trays and troughs made for the use of the newborn baby are not mixed up with the family basketry and discharged after their utility is over. In one corner of this small hut, a stone hearth is made in which fire is kept burning. The hearth is used for preparation of herbal medicines required for the newborn baby. Paste of some bark is applied on the head and forehead of the newborn baby. After a month or so, the new mother and the baby leave this hut and stay in another hut. The new mother now discards the bark cloth and puts on cotton cloth. The deserted hut is dismantled. In the second hut, they stay for another month or so and then come to their own hut. During this period, the husband is not permitted to stay with the wife.
Marriage.
Among the Shompen, monogamy is the commonest form of marriage. But a few cases of polygamy have been also reported and it is socially sanctioned, hence tolerated among them. The Shompens are endogamous and interethnic marriages are usually not contracted. A man is free to marry his wife's elder as well as younger sister. Similarly, a woman is free to marry her husband's elder as well as younger brother. A Shompen acquires his mate in different ways. The traditionally approved means of entering into matrimony are through capture and negotiation. The later form of marriage is arranged by the parents who invite the opinion of the girl and the boy concerned. After the marriage, couples can either live along with girl's family or with boy's family. Couples can even move out and join a different band altogether.
Death rituals.
Certain rituals are performed in the event of a death. When a person dies inside the hut, the dead is immediately taken out of the hut and placed on the ground in front of the house. No hymns are recited and no alms are given till the burial is over. When the person breathes his last, the members of the family start weeping and crying, especially when the deceased is a young man or woman. During this time, the dead body remains in the ground. The Shompen bury their dead. A wooden bier is prepared from a log of fresh wood. Then body is kept on the bier and tied with cane or pandanus fibers. The arms are placed vertically on the sides and the hands are kept open. Before the dead body is taken away from the village, a party goes into the forest to catch a pig. Only 2 persons carry the bier from the village to a place at a little distance from the village. Pall bearer place the bier on the ground and come back to the village to return to the dead body with a pig and implements of the deceased. Before placing the dead body inside the grave, the pig is sacrificed. The dead body is then united with the bier, placed inside the grave on komba leaves and covered by the same kind of leaves. All the implements are kept upside down inside the grave along with the dead body. After these rituals, the grave is closed and members return to the village. The next day, they leave the locality where death occurred and move to another place.
We will continue to discuss in detail about the economic organizations of the Shompens of Great Nicobar in the subsequent video.
Thank you.